Hello everyone, so I have another update on Toropets here. I hope you're not getting bored with Toropets videos. I certainly am not. I can't get enough of this massive drone strike by Ukraine here. One of the biggest and most successful so far, and it gets even better as we now have clearer satellite imagery. So this is going to be quite a long video I think, so maybe get yourself a cup of tea and some biscuits. I recommend a packet of custard creams. So let's get started. These images which we'll look at first were shared by MT Anderson on Twitter. He's done some amazing work putting these together. So on the first image, which is the before, he has the base split into three sections. A at the bottom, B above, and C on the left. A is where the hardened concrete structures were. B also features protective shelters of a different type than Part A. C is which we saw yesterday, which had ammunition stored out in the open earlier this year and lots of little sheds and warehouses which are all spaced apart. I'd guess the best stuff is in the hardened bunkers, so we're going to start with section A. So there were 4 rows of hardened bunkers here, a total of 42. Row 1 is sites 1 to 14, row 2, 15 to 27, row 3, 28 to 36, row 4, sites 37 to 40, plus 2 more bunkers at the top on their own. And straight away, even on this image which isn't zoomed in, you can see that some of these were destroyed in the strike. These are the ones where I suspect Iskander and other important missiles would be, given that they are the most protected ones on the base. So, let's have a look closer. Here are the first 8 bunkers on row 1. Number 1, intact. Looks to have some brown burn markers on the roof. Maybe this was caused by falling munitions, but this one did look to survive. Structure 2 is partially covered in smoke, so I can't tell for sure if this was destroyed or not. It does look different from Structure 1. Looks like it may have collapsed. So, let's have a look at Google Maps and see what this looks like normally. Looking at it side by side like this, I think its roof has collapsed. You can see its shape is completely different now. And it looks like the structure is below the level of the ground. So, I think it's safe to say this one is gone. So far, 1 bunker destroyed. Let's keep a tally. Moving on, bunker number 3 survived. Number 4, 5, and 8 look like David Copperfield had a go at them since they've disappeared. 6 and 7 are obscured by smoke still, which is why MT Anderson has skipped ahead. So far, we have the following ones gone. 4 gone, 2 unknown, but since we were smack bang in the middle of destroyed bunkers, things look promising that they too may have been hit. So the first image, 2 out of 8 confirmed as survived. That's actually a better survival rate than the average Russian tank column. Let's move on again. Structure 9 is now a crater. Looks like that one may have wiped out the dinosaurs. Number 10 is also gone. Number 11 is intact, but it doesn't look too happy. I think it's currently cosplaying as a Moskva, given the number of holes in it. So, whilst the bunker itself survived, I think it's safe to say that the munitions inside have gone for a Burton. You can actually see some smoke coming from one of the holes. Now, number 12, 13 and 14 are intact, but they do look to be very burned. Now, I'd expect an important bunker like this to be heat protected, but this is Russia. I wouldn't be surprised if the funds for heat protection weren't siphoned off to buy the construction of a new yacht for the contractor. So, maybe the heat may have affected the munitions inside and the electronics and that sort of thing, if it were missiles in here. Who knows? This is one for the boffins to ponder. Here's our map updated. So row 1 is looking very promising. 7 destroyed out of 14. 2 unknown. 5 survived. Now one of them, the bunker, did survive, but we saw there were holes in it, there's smoke coming out. The munitions inside are likely gone, so I'm counting it. Row 2 now. Number 15 survived, and that's where Russia's good news ends here. 16, 17 and 18 have all gone for a Burton. 19 is skipped because it's obscured by smoke, but we can see 20. Partially obscured, but enough is visible to say it survived. Number 21 looks gone. Hard to tell for certain because of the smoke once more, but we could definitely see a crate on the left hand side. Looks like something hit the defensive berm surrounding the bunkers, but it also appears that the bunker itself is gone, or at least partially collapsed. So, let me get old red out again and return to our map. So I've added the destroyed ones so far. 2 survivors on this row, 1 unknown, 4 destroyed. Let's move on. Number 22 looks to have survived. There's damage to the roof, but I can't tell for sure if it was fully penetrated or not. 23 looks to have a hole in its roof. Not outright destroyed, but penetrated, so things don't look too bright for it. 24 is an unknown. It looks intact, but there are what could be holes at the side. These same holes appear on 25 and 26 as well. I think these are likely entrances, and they look open. Now, it could be that the ones here were empty at the time with the doors left open, or they were full, and Russia quickly evacuated the remaining munitions and missiles out of there before either Ukraine hit it again or they got caught up in the ammo cook-offs. That would be quite a risky mission, but I can see Russia attempting that to keep the missiles and munitions safe. We can't tell for sure, but since these same holes appear on the side of other bunkers, I think these are open doors leading into them. Going back to 24 though, you can see there is a plume of smoke coming from inside the bunker. So it looks like this one at least something was burning, but we can't tell for certain what it was because it's inside the bunker. But it appears to me that 24, 25, 26 and 27 survived. Here it is updated. I put a blue cross on one of them because it was unclear if it was fully penetrated or not. And number 24, I put a blue question mark because whilst the bunker was intact, there was smoke coming from within. Row 3 here. 28 partially destroyed, but smoke coming from it. So this is gone. 29, I can't tell for certain. Very obscured, but I think it survived. 30, again, looks like it survived. May have suffered some superficial damage. 31, 32, 33. All of these ones survived. Only one damaged on this row. The first open one, which is bunker number 28. The next 5 did survive again. Let's move on to the next image. So these are bunkers 34 until 39. So starting off, 34, 35 and 36 are intact. And again here, you can see once more that there are what look to be open doors to the bunkers. I really think Russia has emptied these since the drone strike or missile strike. It is possible they were empty already, and Ukraine knew that thanks to satellite imagery showing them open. So Ukraine didn't hit them and just focused on the closed ones, and therefore likely full and occupied bunkers. But who knows for certain? 37 though looks to have taken 2 direct hits. There's 2 big craters and the bunker has ceased to be. 38 made it. The damage around it appears to be just to the earth and mounds and that sort of thing. 39 as well looks intact. Damage to the roof, but I don't think it was penetrated. I can't tell for certain. So, just one addition here. 37 on the bottom row. Our final image from this section of the base now. 40, 41 and 42. 40 you can see survived, whilst 41 and 42 did not. So this is quite spectacular. 16 out of 42 bunkers gone. 4 unknown, 1 possible. So that's amazing work by Ukraine, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. We still have 2 sections to go, and spoiler alert, if you thought this was bad, we haven't seen anything yet. Here's the overview of the base. We're now going to have a look at section B, and hold on to your hats, this is going to be good. First, let's just have a look at these structures on Google Maps. So, these here are warehouses rather than hardened concrete structures that we saw before. So these are less protected. No idea what was stored here. As mentioned earlier, I assume, given the levels of protection, that Iskander and S-300s and those North Korean missiles were in Section A, as they are the most important and so would be the most protected, with other sections B and C featuring stuff like standard artillery rounds, mortar rounds, rockets, and the like. So 22 separate warehouses and buildings here, and I think it's safe to say these are completely and utterly gone. Not just merely damaged, nothing remains here except some skeletons and shells of buildings valiantly clinging on. But for all intents and purposes, this section is no more. What an amazing strike by Ukraine here. I'm going to say one of the biggest and most successful of so far. Turning to Google Maps, pretty much a waste of time, since we can see that nothing remains, but it does visualize it nicely. So, here we are. A whopping 22 warehouses storing ammunition here, completely gone. Putin must be spitting feathers after this. I bet the bloke in charge of air defence here won't be going to Putin's tea party, or visiting Moscow's newest skyscraper with him, or taking a flight over an S-300 SAM system. Here, are some zoomed in sections of Part B to look at. Everything pretty much gone. Well, this does show which structures either took a direct hit or had the most stored in it. For example, here, number 6, the building did partially survive, whereas number 5, nothing remains. So 5 either took a direct hit or had something very detonaty inside. 7 until 12, you can see smoke still rising from some of them. Number 8 is now an absolutely massive crater. Same again with 13 until 18. Some of these have smoke coming from them still. 18, the building partially remains, but 14 is completely gone. 15 is a crater. Here, we have number 20, which is a building that suffered the least damage here. It's technically still standing, but still badly damaged with many holes in the roof. So now that A and B is complete, let's move on to section C. This is the one we looked at yesterday, I think, where satellite imagery from earlier this year showed munitions kept out in the open. It consisted of a number of warehouses spaced apart and all higgledy-piggledy, as seen here. And apologies if you can hear a bag rustling in the background, Muppy's trying to help herself to some food. Here is MT Anderson's section C. The crosses added by him on the buildings show most of his section of the base is now gone. Now, his image used isn't the clearest and isn't as zoomed in, and there are a few here which I may disagree with as they look to be okay at first glance on this image. So, I'm going to switch to an image shared by Svoboda on Twitter now, which shows a section in a bit more detail. On screen now is the before of one section of Part C. Take note of the positions of the buildings here. You can also see there are some empty spaces, either parking lots or where buildings are intended to be built at some point, or outside storage areas. And again, the aftermath here is going to be good. I think you're going to be impressed. So, check this out. This section of the base here, completely gone once again. Not a building remaining standing. It's just gone. And check out the size of the two craters in the centre. No idea if that's where the missiles hit or not, or if it was caused by munitions going off. Maybe a combination of both. But it's no surprise that this caused an earthquake which was picked up on the Richter scale. This section, smashed. On the plus side for Russia, they now have even more empty spaces for parking and storage. 21 structures were hit here. If it doesn't have a red cross on it, it was either an empty space, or outside storage, or off screen in that satellite image we looked at. I'm starting to think that Putin may have cried when he heard the news about this strike. Here's a big overview by Svoboda. So some sections are covered in smoke and can't be seen. And here again is MT Anderson's. So going back to Google Map, the section highlighted here, we can't tell as it's covered with smoke. So this is an area we're going to have a look at later when we get more satellite imagery. So this is likely not it for Toropets videos. I'll do an update when we get more satellite imagery showing this section. The big building in the middle is visible and does appear to be undamaged, but no idea about surrounding structures. So, the northern section of the base, again, a lot of buildings gone. Some still standing, but MT Anderson's assessment I think looks pretty accurate. The northeastern section of the base is gone, barely a building remaining in that part. The only two untouched section of the base for me appears to be the northwestern bit, this section here. No idea what this section was for, whether there was a reason that Ukraine didn't hit it, such as these being relatively unimportant administration buildings and offices, and general utility sheds to support the base, rather than munitions storage. But overall, this base is gone, and this held over 30,000 tons of ammunition. That includes missiles, Iskander, S-300, and the North Korean ones are said to be stored here. Grab rounds were also said to be stored here, artillery rounds and also mortar rounds, and likely other types as well. I think this is the most successful strike of the war so far. I would say that this, the ATACMS hits on Berdyansk and Luhansk airfields which got the helicopters, Novo-Fedorivka, which got a number of Russian jets, and the two which hit the Crimean Bridge round out the top 5. You could make a case for either of those being the number 1 here. But this is excellent work by Ukraine. This entire base now gone. Only a handful of buildings remaining, a handful of hardened structures remaining. It was absolutely obliterated. And what a massive failing by Russia's air defense this is. This is a key area, a key munitions storage base. You would expect this to be fully protected, ringed by SAM systems. But Ukrainian drones got through. Said to be some of the new jet-powered drones which were used here, which got through the air defences. So if so, they are clearly a very good useful tool of Ukraine's, and I expect we'll see those used again very soon. And if it was those jet-powered drones making their debut here, what a debut it is. So that's it for this video, but before we finish, I'm going to play a video from the Ukraine Volunteer Centre about their ongoing fundraiser. This is an important fundraiser said and they need the funds urgently. Big thanks to everybody who's helped out so far. The donation information is in the description. Thanks so much for watching and take care everybody.
Good afternoon. Greetings from the Ukrainian Volunteer Center. Kursk region. Ukrainian soldiers and the Ukrainian people showed Russia that we will not be broken. We have shown that international support is very important to us and we are using it to the maximum effect. Now, there is an urgent need for drones and vehicles. That is why we are announcing a new fundraising. Volkswagen T5 for the soldiers in the Sumy direction and 2 Mavic 3T drones for the guys in the Donetsk sector, where we are having a hard time. The goal of fundraising is $18,000.